obviously you're known for Mushroomhead, I would say. Since you've been doing stuff with Nightmare Cleveland, you've been, more focused on that, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the last, since COVID hit, it was pretty much half that year was what the hell is going to go on now. And then I was already doing work down at Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse in Medina County, Ohio, with the owner, Vaughn LeCan, down there. And then when touring pretty much paused, entertainment, other things were able, even though concert venues weren't able to be a thing, haunted houses and amusement parks were able to still open. So we did a successful year during COVID for Slaughterhouse. And then the following year is when we went in the endeavor to Nightmare Cleveland. So it's been 2 years nonstop. Most people are like, it's a haunted house, so you're working September, October, but it's literally the whole goddamn year. I mean, it's the whole year. It's been since, literally when the season ends November 5th, and then it's like right away starting on all the upgrades and the expansion. We haven't taken, a day off since Thanksgiving. But yeah, it's been insane just to pull off the kind of show we're trying to do in a short period of time, because I don't have 10 years to build a great show. I need to do it now quickly and hopefully be the best, immediately instead of growing over time. But yeah, it's been taking up all of my time socially and everything mentally. But yeah, I had to take a kind of a back seat from the band and touring, and in a respectful way. It's not like I quit or anything like that. Yeah. It's just, this is what I was kind of into before I got into music. But I never had the kind of opportunity to, partially own and create something from the ground up. It was always working for someone else at somewhere that was already established and just, make it better or make it whatever, but it was never my own. So it's cool to have, this place and have been granted that opportunity.
What all goes into making one of these haunts? Because I know there is a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of moving parts, more than I think people realize.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's everything from, you're getting your marketing together to photos, video. I mean, it's the same type of shit as being in a band, but it's even crazier because, as to where you'll play a city, as a band, you'll need to draw a bunch of people to your show, but like having 24 shows a season in one location and every night has to be a sold out show. It's like a different type of challenge, but applying all the knowledge that I have of being, in a band and knowing how to make that successful is definitely giving me leverage. But it's a whole year, of work just from everything from the social media, policing and all that, to just everything, planning, the build, merchandise. I mean, it's nonstop. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's February, there's nothing to do. There's more to do in the off season. It's like when the season starts, then it's almost a break. Then all you have to do is let the show, hopefully the show runs itself, but like, it's even more stressful in the off season because of all the work that has to be done to get to opening night. Because once you're open and you're charging money for tickets, your shit better be done, or else it's like charging money for, a concert. And then it's like, well, the band didn't finish writing the song. So
yeah.
You're going to hear half of it. So
I feel like there is a big misconception about it. I really don't think people think about what all goes into it, because it's a whole big process.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of different haunts. I mean, there's, outdoor haunts and stuff like that. Some of those places, they will only spend like 2-3 months getting ready because it's outside, it's a hayride and a corn maze and some pop-up style haunts, and it's not that complicated to do stuff like that. As to where this, every set is designed to be film ready. You could go film a movie in any one of our sets here, any one of our hallways, any one of our, things that we have in here. It's all very hyper realistic and made to feel like, you're in a video game, you're in a horror movie, and with help with other artist friend of mine, Brian Dembski. He's just fucking killing it. And so it's definitely different than what most people think haunted houses are, because most haunted houses, it's like, you know, a bunch of kids in crappy.
It's a bunch of bullshit. Right?
Yeah, a bunch of kids in crappy makeup, you know,
yeah.
screaming dumb stuff at you with, you know, clown stripes on the walls and random shit. But this is all very much like we're obsessively into the realism.
Well, I like that. What inspired your haunt? I heard you say it's like a horror sci-fi kind of thing. Like, what in particular where did you get the ideas from?
Well, lots of, I mean, obviously the shirt's giving away my.
I was already thinking, I was already looking, I was like, oh, yeah, that's.
But yeah,
there's
video
an answer there.
Yeah, video games more than horror movies, because horror movies are more predictable to rip off. You're kind of like limited. I wouldn't say rip off, say be inspired by, but when you play these video games like BioShock, even Call of Duty, just the way the maps are, like aside from the fact that, you know, it's Call of Duty, the way the maps look and how walls are blown out and you can get to different areas because, well, this is blocked, but then this wall's blown open and then you're going through this crazy, you know, shit here. Those type of environments are very inspiring. And then to build those, you know, is cooler, and it's more of a challenge rather than like, oh, you're in a room, you're in another room, another room, another room, another room. It's like making this big world and having it all interconnect and make sense, and use the same mentality of video games. Like, oh, there's a hallway and it's 100 feet long, but it's blocked by a cart, so I can't go that way. So like you're going through this other thing, and then later you're on that other side and you're like, oh shit, that's where I was and I couldn't get there. It's like very much how like old Resident Evil games were always like that. Evil Within, huge influence for me. Some of the aesthetics and the look of the game Fallout. Atomic Heart, that was the newest one that we started playing that came out, and that was great because it was all like, it was very much like BioShock, but it was all Russian propaganda, so it was pretty cool. Took a lot of influence from that, but it's a lot of video game references for sure. Be playing a game and I'll like pause it, like, oh, take a photo, like,
yeah, there's an idea.
Yeah, there's an idea. Oh, cool, is this cool electrical room? Oh, take a photo, recreate it. So it's definitely cooler because it's more original that way, because you can only rip off Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th so much until it just all looks the same.
Well, I think I can relate to that in a way, because as a writer, I take inspiration from all kinds of things. I mean, if I like see like an old barn or something, I'm like, yep, I need that. Or just watch a movie, listen to a song, you know, video game, whatever, anything. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, I've done all kinds of shit. I'll pull over on the side of the highway and like, oh, I gotta take a photo of that bridge because the rust looks cool, you know. And
yeah, it's just like me, the little things.
So when I know I gotta make something rusty, there's a reference photo of how it looks when rivets start rusting, you know. So.
And of course, you know, I've never been to Nightmare Cleveland. I don't live anywhere near Ohio, but from what I've seen and what I've read, because I've read a few reviews, and, you know, it seems like people really took well to it.
Yeah, I mean, being, you know, first year, I can't complain. Also, I brought a lot of good people in on the team, which helps. Like friends I've been in bands with, you know, done things with over the past, like brought kind of everyone in to like form the, you know, Avengers, if you will, of like the haunt industry, to just, you know, be able to have that effectiveness year one right out the gate. Because most haunts, it takes them a few years to get to the 4-star, 5-star ratings to where, yeah, this is great, this is worth it. I mean, we came out swinging year one with only 5 months to build all this shit from scratch and take everything we've done over the years and build the ultimate version of, you know, a haunted house. And some things were borrowed from another haunt that we did years and years ago, called the Fear Experience, that I was part of years ago. And we were in a building over there, and I worked for Nick Francis and Max Simon over there. And that was, you know, I wasn't an owner or anything like that. I just helped do a lot of the set building and bringing all that place to another level. We filmed a lot of Mushroomhead videos in there. And it was cool because it just had a spot like, oh, let's build Evil Dead cabin. Now it's part of the haunt. Oh, let's go build off in this kid's room. And that was the Cordy video, and like the carnival, and like all the a lot of those sets during that era were all done over at Fear Experience, where, hey, there's a big empty building and Skinny would come down. Everyone else that would help. Ryan, Dr. F would come down, a couple others would help. And we just, just build sets in there and make that. But now I'm like 2 exits from where that was, which is crazy because I'm right in the same place I almost was. Yeah. I don't remember.
I think that's all pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Now I want to.
We're talking about the reviews and stuff, and of course, there's going to be people like hating and stuff like that because people love to hate. It's easy.
Yeah. Like there was hate comments, there was hate reviews before y'all even opened. Like,
yeah, it's easier to go online and be hateful. It takes a lot for people to actually go online and write something positive. So I try to take only the positive and the negatives.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, but this year's going to blow everyone's dick in because we've been able to do the full version. As to where last year we just did what we had time to do in 5 months, which wasn't a lot. It was about a 15-minute show last year. The ultimate goal was to have a 40-minute, very immersive show, which is about at there this year. So it's gonna be fully the finished, version. Last year was a skin of our teeth, get by and get open, start making, waves, get some revenue in to pay for, the big, investment that Vaughn has made on this place. But this year it's gonna be, game over for a lot of people out there are going to see what we're doing. And a lot of people say like, oh, we're doing all this crazy stuff, but we are seriously like pushing every boundary we can as far as to make it an insane show that's like Universal Studios Horror Nights quality or something that should be in Hollywood. Like this is in Ohio. Like that's kind of what I want people to feel when they see it.
Okay, that sounds absolutely awesome. I would really like to see that one day. If I could ever get the opportunity to be in Ohio during the season, I would definitely love to check it out.
Yeah, between this place and Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, which is 30 miles south of here, that's the main owner, Vaughn's place. And that's in a real slaughterhouse that was in the 1940s. So the property in the building alone is just epic. When you roll up, you're like, I'm going to die here. I'm probably
can't wait.
Yeah, it's definitely that vibe. And there's not like, vendors and food trucks. It's very dim and dark. Like you kind of roll up and you're like, should I even be here? And that's kind of the vibe that is placed out there, as to where with Nightmare Cleveland, it's more in the major city. We're right next to Best Buy. So you can only do so much with that. But the inside is very to the T immersive with a full theme and a world.
Okay, now I want to take a step back and ask you, how did you even get involved in the haunt stuff? What inspired you? Where did that all come about?
Mostly growing up on horror movies. When I was younger, my mom at a young age, she was very much into cinema and horror movies growing up, especially anything with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. So I was able to watch a lot of that stuff when I was younger. I remember my grandma took me to see Friday the 13th Part 7 in the theater. So that would have been like 1989 or something, 88, 89, something like that. So I was, probably 8, 9 years old. And then when I was 15, I started working at a local haunted house called Bloodview as a volunteer. It's all volunteer there. But I remember my mom had to sign a waiver and she dropped me off. And I acted there and didn't know anything about makeup, didn't know how to do anything. And just met, a lot of other people that had similar hobbies. And, this is also the mid 90s before internet. So there was a lot of, people just looking for something to do. And that's where I started acting there. Immediately fell in love with it as far as the jolt and the satisfaction you get from scaring general public. You definitely get a rush from it. It's not for everyone, because most people, they do it and they're like, after an hour, they're like, oh, I'm tired. It's like, I love it. When the night's over, it's like, I could do this all night. Because people are literally giving you money to scare them. So, I mean,
it doesn't sound like a bad gig to me.
It's fucking awesome. I mean, it's the same satisfaction I get from playing on stage, or performing like that. But you're way more in people's, like, just getting in people's comfort zone and, fucking with them is just so much more satisfying. But yeah, so I got into acting at a young age and then started learning just how to like renovate a building. They started ripping out old sets. So I'd literally be around not knowing how to do anything skill wise or run a power tool, just helping like remove 2x4s with a hammer and, literally starting from there. And then as I got older, learning, how to actually make things and then working for other haunted houses. And then got to a point where I started helping build other sets. And then I joined Mushroomhead in 2001. So, and not that that was a bad thing at all. Like, I joined the band and it was like, so then the haunt stuff was like, that doesn't matter because barely making any, most of it was like free volunteer work anyway, just trying to learn shit. So joined Mushroomhead, all that became irrelevant. So, fast forward 20 years later, presented with the opportunity during COVID when, touring was done. So the whole world's like, shit, are we ever going to have concerts again? Like, is the government never going to allow us to have, concerts again? Because it was weird for a minute there. Now it's almost like, oh yeah, what was that? Like, no one even
just forget about that.
No one gives a shit anymore. It's back to people coughing in your face in the store and no one's, wiping down shopping carts. And it's such a fucking joke. But
I mean, I was already like obsessed with washing my hands anyway. Yeah. Like I'm obsessed with cleanliness. So I was, already doing all that stuff. So it's like, y'all people are just gross. Y'all people are just gross.
Exactly. I was very much the same way with like OCD on germs and
I'm bad about it.
Me. I think during the whole lockdown and all that COVID scare, I didn't even catch it once. I didn't really change much of what I already did. I just was more observant of touching handles and out in public as much as I normally am. But I still, if I can open a door with my foot, I will. And it's not because I don't want to catch. It's like not I don't want to catch COVID. It's because people are fucking gross. But yeah, it's just crazy how we went from that. So anyway, during that, when the touring came to a screeching halt and the Static X Mushroomhead tour got canceled, the European tour got canceled, and then there was no fall tour. It was like a whole year of and then a whole nother year of
yeah, that was a shitty time.
Yeah, so this just happened during that transition.
Well, I guess that is something that was good that came out of all that. So
yeah. No, for sure. Because it brings me back to what I originally was wanting to do anyway. And like I said, I'm still very much positive with Mushroomhead and anything I can always do to help. I went out and did a week on the Static X tour. Just to be like, hey, I'm still haven't quit, just doing this other shit. Because I like how the internet likes to talk and make their own version up of what's going on, especially with bands like Mushroomhead, where all these little chat groups and
people are hoping there's drama.
All these fan pages just waiting for something to talk about, and it's always someone going, I talked to this person. And
it's
like some guy.
Back and I'll watch. I just watch.
Yeah.
So I've seen it, But
some dude in the middle of Nebraska knows exactly what's happening with the band in Cleveland.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know what your status was with the band anymore for a while there, but I was thinking you were just so, I guess, preoccupied with other things that's what was taking your time away from Mushroomhead. I didn't think anything like crazy, conspiracy theory about it or anything. So
yeah, and I mean, it's not like my absence is like detrimental to the band or anything. I mean, I didn't really, write anything, or I'm not a composer for the band. I was more of like
you played the flashlight anyway.
More of a live figure, part of the show, and help where I can, help with the Photoshop, help with merch designs, help with sets, help with costuming with Skinny. Like, I was stronger in those areas, which all are things that again apply to the haunt industry: painting masks, making wardrobe, building sets, Photoshop. Those are my strong points. And that's what, helped my position in Mushroomhead. And that's originally why Skinny hired me, was like someone else to help with that type of stuff. Because originally, it was just him doing that kind of thing. But with me not around, I mean, he already does that stuff, and it's not like, oh no, Stitch is gone. Like, who gives a shit? Like,
yeah.
Like, it's cool. The band's still going to be awesome, and I've heard a ton of the new music. The new music's fucking awesome.
I'm sure.
And I keep getting like, man, it sucks. I'm like not around, and everything's great. Like, all the new members that are in now are, most of them are like my friends, grew up in high school. So the lineup's even the most positive than it's ever been in the whole existence of me being around. And I'm like, of course, fuck.
And you're out there.
It's epic. It's awesome. It's super positive. And I got this, but eventually this, I'm not going to be building a haunt all year round. So it'll be my time to like get back in there. That's why I never quit. Like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. I'm sure they're missing you playing the flashlight for them. So,
right. As long as the new guys spin the sticks right, it's all that matters.
Yeah. From what I've seen, I'm fine with the current lineup. I have not been upset with any of the lineups.
No, it's fantastic.
I'm like, the band still is freaking awesome. I've watched some live shows with Scott and Steve, and I'm like, they sound great. Why are people in the comments complaining? Yeah,
we kind of knew that too. Like, Skinny even mentioned it too. It's like, well, no matter who went in that position, filling in for J-Man, people are going to talk shit no matter what. But people are not talking. People are not talking shit as much because it's Scott from VentanA, and they already know that Scott from VentanA has got his shit together, and
he's a beast.
He throws down live. He fucking sounds great.
Oh, yeah.
He's a super positive dude. I've never seen that dude mad in the decade plus I've known him. Straight edge. Don't got to worry about any of that. Like,
ain't crazy shit.
Right. So, I mean, he's super positive fucking guy. So he's a perfect thing to happen there for sure. And it just sucks. He's a friend of mine, and I'm like, they're going on tour, and I'm like, oh, fuck, can't go, but looks awesome.
Since you mentioned VentanA, I want to ask, is VentanA broken up, or is it an indefinite hiatus?
Well, that was also a decision because this was going to be so busy, and Dan doing so much touring with, between Static X and doing Dope.
The band, we're talking about the band.
Yeah, he was playing bass with Dope, which is weird because to me, Dope is Dan on drums. But it's cool. He was wanting, play bass, do something different. He's out, I think, teching for White Zombie.
He played drums for Twisted too recently. Yep. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Constantly doing shit. And like Tom Schaffner has got a big endeavor right now, opening up a bar. And that's, I could be meaning to hit him up and check up and see how that's going. But that's another one of his things where he's had that dream forever to like eventually have his own bar. And I believe that's all starting to happen for him now too, which is great. So there's a lot of things going on. And then with Scott, now doing Shroom, it's like, so it wasn't more like the band's done forever. It's just, it's almost been this January will be 20 years of VentanA, and we're still in this limbo of underground band that hasn't fully made it and isn't making money and doesn't sell. I mean, it's just, a lot of people like it, but it's not enough to balance. Like when you're in your 20s and like early 30s, it's easier to lose money and get in a van and sleep in Walmart parking lot and play a show for $300 and then play a show the next day for $400 and then play a show the next day for $200 and then you're negative $3,000 because of that. So it becomes a lot. We've invested a lot of money in VentanA over the years. Me personally, like most of the money I would make with Shroom, just pay my bills, all that, and then invest, any money I had into recordings and, merch, lights, whatever the fuck we needed. And it was only until the recent few years that we actually could be self-sustaining to where, okay, a show is going to pay for the lights, pay for this, pay for that. before then we really weren't doing shit. And it's just no labels are breaking down our door, no bands are breaking down our door to go on tour with them. People are like, oh, you should go on tour with this band, go on tour with that. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, that would be fucking great. But none of it works that way. If you don't have the money to buy onto a tour, you have to already be established, have an agent, have a label, like things like that. Like you have to have clout, like especially nowadays, it's just so much of who you know. And if you're not already established, like a band like Mushroomhead or a band like Static X Fear Factory, no one gives a shit. You could be, oh, we're awesome, we're great. They don't fucking care. So it's been discouraging because I believed in VentanA a lot and we put a lot of time into it. And then I personally feel like it just never got to where it needed to be. And I'm 43 years old now. And it's just, I don't want to be like in my 50s trying to break my band. It's just like,
yeah, I see what you mean, but I think VentanA deserved better.
I feel like we
missed a lot more.
I just feel like we missed our mark and we're ahead of our time because there's a couple bands I hear like coming out nowadays, and like some of it reminds me of like VentanA, where I'm like, shit, if we were only like 10 years younger, maybe
maybe it would work.
Maybe we could stand a chance, but it was still we still plan to do some shows. It's just not going to put as much effort into it because it's just we never see anything come back in return with all that effort, which sucks. And it's not about like, oh, we're trying to make money, but like, yeah, you got to kind of make money when you're
to keep the shit going. Like you got to have money to keep this going.
If you put thousands of dollars into a band that you don't have, you need to make that back, or else what is the fucking point? Like just
so. Yeah, and you could put yourself in a financial hole too. So
yeah, this VentanA has been hemorrhaging money, for years, but because we believed in it, because myself, Dan, and everyone that's been involved with it throughout the years, stuck with it and believed in it, and January is going to be 20 years, so we're not really sure what's going on, but we'll eventually do something. Just
it's so nuts.
We're still only going to do around that long. Yeah, we're still only going to do stuff that really matters. I'm not going to like bust our ass to like play a local show, to like struggle to draw a couple hundred people for no reason. Like it's just, so we're just going to do shows that matters, maybe anniversary shows. There's some other ideas I've been kicking around for doing like my own Cleveland summer festivals, but I'm not sure where that's going to land. That's still like a to be determined thing. And tie all that in with the haunt thing as well. But I wouldn't say VentanA, to answer your question, VentanA is not gone. It's just more of on
it's kind of like hiatus, I guess.
Yeah, it's
something.
It'll happen when it makes sense.
Yeah, it'll happen when it happens.
Yeah. So anyway, we have a great following in VentanA of hardcore people, and yeah, the last album I felt like the last record we did, Nature of Betrayal, was probably had to have been like I feel like our best work, and a lot of that came from Tom Schaffner helping a lot with the old songs and kind of rewriting some of that shit with me, and some of the stuff that he wrote as well, and then bringing in other friends of mine here from Cyclone 9, Gabriel, Lindy Gabriel from Gabriel and the Apocalypse, singing on one song. Todd from Dog Fashion Disco sang on a track. So it was definitely like a powerhouse of shit that we threw at people. I feel like we peaked, and then like nothing came of it. Like
the album slapped though.
It does, and I'm not even like being biased. It was our best work. We put a lot of time into mixing it with our friend Noah, from a band Solipsis. He crushes with the mixes, and for being a self-produced, album that we basically recorded on our own computers. I mean, it came out fucking great.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened. Like no labels, no touring, no nothing, no funding, doing videos with our own money because I know people that do videos. And thankfully, Abe from, Blind 7 Photography, I got that whole tie-in with the Mushroomhead videos. Able to use him to do not only my videos for VentanA, but also all my haunt commercials. He does all those too. But yeah, it's kind of defeating when like you release a record and it's like, now what?
It's fucking good though. I listen to like songs from the album all the time because it's addicting, really. I mean, it's fucking good.
When you write the music and then you mix it and you have to listen to it a million times to hear every little pop and snip that you have to edit out, you get sick of the music. So
I'm sure.
By the time it comes out, you're like, I don't even fucking want to hear it anymore. And I put it in like recently. I was listening to it and it was like, fuck, this is good. Like we literally wrote an album that like we would love listening to as fans of music. And then it's just, where do you go? What do you do? We don't have, tons of money to fund, all that. And a lot of bands nowadays make it because they got, funding.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we're going to go back to the haunt thing because I was going to ask kind of a stupid question. Mm-hmm. Since you've done the haunt acting thing for quite a long time now, has anyone ever like slapped you during any of like you scaring somebody, like the wrong person, and them like hitting you or something? Has that ever happened?
That's like nightly.
Oh God, really?
Oh, it's like nightly. Yeah, you think concert patrons are a lot to deal with. The haunt patrons are even fucking crazier because some of them just think that because they paid to get in, they can do whatever they want. So it's a whole night of people watching and knowing in advance this group's going to be a problem, that group's going to be a problem. I've been punched, slapped, poked in the eye. We did laser tag at Fear Experience years ago, where it's like zombie survival laser tag, where you're going through with the guns and all that. I'm barreling at this woman, and she's shooting me, and I'm acting like I'm, taking hits, but I'm still charging like, Tyrant from Resident Evil or something, and I'm just going off towards her, and she like freaks out and turns the gun and butts me in the head with the gun. And these were like steel, like they're like M16, training weapons for like the military like issued. So an actual like M16 shell with laser tag shit in it. So it's like, metal. So like biffed me in the head and like I fly back and like I wasn't even mad. I was like, I played dead, but I was inside like laughing my ass off because the look on her face was enough for me because she looked genuinely terrified because she's shooting me, nothing was happening, and just like it was pretty badass because it was like straight out of a movie.
For real.
And I had a silicone mask on, so like it didn't really hurt, so it was like a bunch of padding, so it was like, I got a sponge mask around me. But that was a very memorable moment. I still laugh about it to this day, and that was like 10 years ago or some shit. But it was pretty epic. That was the best one. Getting butted with a gun. That was pretty fun.
Well, I guess you can't be too shocked because that would be activating the fight or flight response.
Right.
So yeah. I'm not surprised it happens so frequently.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, every night it's, whether it's me or another actor, it's always like, oh, well, someone got hit or someone got punched, someone got pushed. It's a lot of these.
It's just part of the gig at this point.
Yeah, a lot of people come to these haunts and they're drunk or it just happens. And just like anywhere, you're gonna get a couple assholes that just are trying too hard to be cool and fucking ruin it for everybody. And it's like you're paying to go through a haunted house and be entertained. Like you can leave the tough guy approach at the door. Like you don't have to harass, high school kids.
I think that's the part I probably wouldn't enjoy, so the possibility of just getting smacked by somebody.
Right. Well, you have to. I try to train people to like gauge the customers. If you see that they're fucking a problem, just back away. Just don't try to just keep scaring them because they're gonna do something shitty. Just remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah, that's smart. So I was going to ask about the special effects. You do your own makeup, like special effects makeup, right?
Like on myself personally, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't call myself a special effects artist because so many people are so open to call themselves things because they can do one little thing. But I know a decent amount about makeup, but for some reason I'm better doing it to myself than other people. That's why I would never call myself an effects artist, because those people can do it to other people. I know my own structure.
Yeah, I get that.
So I can make myself look scary, easy. When I do other people, I tend to like just have brain fart and like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or like gelatin makeups and latex and, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. I'm pretty good with on myself, and I'm not afraid to like wear that shit and put latex in my hair. I don't fucking care if it rips it out. Like, if it looks cool, I don't give a shit. Lately it's been more of getting into the silicone masks from companies like Immortal and CFX. There's so many like, cool fucking silicone masks out there now that like, it's like 5 seconds, like it's on and you look like you can go, you know, film a movie. So that's a lot cooler than I'm going to spend 2 hours putting on makeup. I'm going to sweat it off halfway through the night. It's going to get everywhere and you got to touch it up all night. But yeah.
What would you say is maybe your favorite look you've ever done?
At Fear Experience, I had a preacher character that I did.
Yeah.
And I was kind of influenced by the preacher from Poltergeist Part 2. Mm-hmm. It was always like, as a kid, that character scared the living fucking shit out of me.
Yeah.
He had no makeup on. I guess the guy that played that character, the backstory on him was that he was actually dying of cancer and shit, and that's why he looked the way he did. So I took that in because I always loved the Quaker hat. Like, I just liked the old timey preacher look. More of the Pilgrim, you know, era.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it only seems more fucked up to me than like a modern day like preacher. So I got that costume off a website and then just came up with the makeup, you know, on my own and all that stuff, and got the flaming gag Bible from a magic store where like you open it up and it's on fire. Fire marshal love that. The fire marshal came to the haunted house one night because they saw the commercial where it was all this fire and they were like trying to draw a stink of it. We're like, no, we don't have that in the actual haunt. But that character was a lot of fun because I would just whisper nothings at people and just make up my own pig Latin fucking language, you know, where it's just, and just doing like putting fake hexes on people and they just weren't having it. So that was a lot of fun because I didn't even have to actually say words with that character. Took a little influence on that from my friend Nero from Cyclone 9 as well. I kind of did a little bit of the makeup and my mannerisms. I kind of stole from him a little bit.
Yeah, I was hoping you would mention that one, but because that is the look I was thinking of. Yeah, I would say that's my favorite too, because I just think it was just really fucking cool.
Yeah, because everything else I've done, it's just been like, oh, a Splicer from BioShock or just some crazy makeup. But that was like a cool character that I came up with that was kind of original. It wasn't just like went to a store and bought, you know, a costume. I put it all together with like different stuff. And I even got the time. I went to it was called the something gentleman website, but it's all time period accurate clothing, and they even make it out of the fabric that it would have been made out of. But it was like all stuff from like 1800s. It wasn't cheap. The shirt, the white shirt alone that was under for like the collar was like $200 fucking dollars. The hat alone was like $300, but it was like made like accurate as shit.
Well, I like it. I think it was really, really fucking cool. So
yeah, unfortunately, the character doesn't work at Nightmare Cleveland because everything is like I have the whole sci-fi biolab thing going on.
Yeah, so he doesn't really fit.
You know, 1700s, 1800s preacher doesn't work here. So I gotta figure out some like, costume just sitting in a box, wasting away.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a little bit out of place. Another thing I want to ask you is, where did you get the nickname Stitch anyway? Where did that come from?
That came from me working in haunted houses. oddly enough. I always got hurt in haunts when I was younger because I'd always do dumb shit, be climbing up walls, rafters, jumping
I
off,
believe it. I believe it.
jumping off shit, fucking climbing up stuff. Like I was never that person that's afraid of me. Even though I'm a lot older now, I'm still not afraid. I'll go scale a wall if I have to. I don't give a fuck. I'm just more observant now of the landing, making sure I don't fuck my back up more than it already is. But yeah, I always got hurt, always got cut, stitches all the time, So someone one night just called me Stitch. And
that's fitting.
It stuck because we all needed aliases at the haunt, because when we all worked at the haunt at a young age, you don't want to say like, "Hey, Mike." We all had like fake names that kind of were like spooky names, one dude's like, name's Gravedigger, one guy's name's Pogo, this guy's this or this guy's that, So there was like nicknames that you could call the actors, so you weren't calling people Mike in front of customers. And I didn't have a nickname, and then the Stitch just stuck. So I was called Stitch at the haunted houses. And then when I joined Mushroomhead, Skinny was like, "Hey, what's your, you're gonna have to pick a stage name, something like that. What are you gonna go with?" And I'm like, "Just go with Stitch, I guess." And then the goddamn Disney movie came out years later, and now I'm forever Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, I was thinking. I figured it didn't come from that movie anyway.
Way before the goddamn movie.
Yeah, I figured it was.
Which isn't an insult because that character is cool.
Yeah, and I like the movie, so
he's a spaz and it's a cool thing. But for like the longest time, like a couple of early years of Shroom, like fans used to bring me like these little Stitch, figures and stuff, like from the Disney movie, not of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen some people post that, stuff like that around the internet.
But yeah, that's literally how it stuck.
Okay, what do you think are the best horror movies of the last maybe decade or so?
The last decade?
Yeah.
Basically, mostly everything that A24 is putting out has been some of my favorite shit. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are going to disagree with what I'm about to say. Is The Witch, Hereditary, Midsommar. And it wasn't A24, but the movie It Follows was also fucking great. Those are some of the best, I feel, in the last decade that have been like really fucking good, that are intense. They're I don't describe it. Like they almost make you feel uncomfortable. And yeah. I like that. And it's not like uncomfortable in a gore way, because then it's just gore porn. I'm not a fan of gore porn.
Yeah, same.
I like gore. I like violence in horror movies, but like when it's just like overly.
Sometimes it's just over the top, and they're doing it just for
overly
certain reasons.
Just for the fact of being overly excessive, just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
But there's something about those A24 films they're putting out. They're just like nailing it with like a cooler, elevated horror type thing. Because let's face it, I mean, just like music, every riff's basically been written. I mean, movies. How much more can you do with horror? How much more can you do with anything? Like, I feel like everything's maxed out. So it's now a matter of taking all that umbrella of everything that's been horror in the last, 100 years and making something new. And like a lot of this newer horror, it's very Hitchcock. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. It's like, it feels like those kinds of movies, but like a little. I
guess a bit psychological.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm looking for. But because The Shining is one of my top favorite horror movies of all time, because it's timeless. You can watch that movie right now, and there's no shitty CGI. There's no bad cartoon monster. That movie was 1978. I think.
Yeah, something like that.
78.
Something like that.
And it's fucking awesome. It's still scary.
Mhm.
It's still creepy. It's convincing. And those are the movies I like that just will go on to the end of time. You know, horror movies like Anaconda are not. You know,
True.
got a cartoon snake, you know, but those psychological horror movies are always what get me really, really well.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of the psychological stuff too. You know, I wrote a book and it's more on the like psychological horror kind of thing because that's what I like and you know, I want to see more of because I feel like a lot of movies now are just they either they're just very gory and it's just killing, high body count, you know, or jump scare, that kind of stuff.
And I like those movies too. I'm a big fan of those movies. Like the latest Evil Dead was really good. Evil Dead Rise was great.
I haven't seen that yet. That's
all I could. Yeah, it was just as good as the 2013 one. In some ways, I liked it almost even more because the 2013 one was kind of a reimagining. It wasn't officially a reboot, but it kind of was, but it kind of wasn't. So it's very confusing because it already felt familiar. The new Evil Dead Rise, it was like a new take because it wasn't in the cabin. It was in an apartment complex. It had a different vibe, but it 100% felt like an Evil Dead movie. It even had more of the comedy that the old school ones had, the ones with Bruce Campbell, where there was more of that slapstick humor with the Deadites. And the newest one had that, as to where 2013 had like no comedy whatsoever. It was just straight brutal, which was fucking awesome. I loved it in its own way. But I missed that comedy in horror because it was a fun blend to like do both. And I always loved sarcasm. That's why Freddy Krueger was always one of my favorite, you know, icons growing up, because he would talk shit before he would kill you. And it was just fucking funny to me that he like cracks a joke or, you know, makes a pun before he fucking kills you.
No, I actually love that.
Yeah, the Evil Dead had that, and it was really good. I've seen it twice in the theater, and I liked it even more the second time I saw it.
I am glad they are still coming out with horror movies that are good. I mean, there's still some that I'm seeing coming out that I'm like, that looks like shit. I saw the trailer for another Insidious movie. I'm thinking, can we quit? Can we quit with those?
Yeah, that just does need to happen. And I was never a big fan of those to begin with. They're okay, but like they're not great. You know.
Well, I was hoping I was hallucinating because I was like, no, this can't be. This can't be another Insidious movie. And then I saw some familiar faces, and I'm like, no. And then the song started playing, the little Tulip song, and I was like, fuck, it is. They've done it again.
Yeah, they're doing I guess they're mixing all of the creatures from everyone together or whatever. They're doing their multiverse version because everyone's now is doing multiverse.
Yeah, that's a popular theme now.
Which I'm fine with because now I'm getting Michael Keaton back in Batman, so I'm happy about
that. I'm not complaining there. So
yeah, I'm very happy about that. I'm going to be starting a mosh pit on June 16th in the theater for The Flash.
Yeah, I want to see it just for that, just for Michael Keaton. I don't care. I don't think about really anything else about it. So
yeah, I never was a big Flash fan. I don't really. There's like certain characters in DC and Marvel that I like. I'm not like a huge like super Marvel, super DC nerd, but everything in the Batman universe I fucking love.
Yep, same
reasons because it's the coolest. There's only certain things in Marvel I like X-Men and Deadpool, you know, and some other things. But like, I could give a shit about the Avengers. I could give a fuck about like half of the things that come out with Marvel. But you know, I've always loved X-Men growing up. It's my favorite. Wolverine's like the shit again because he talks shit. Fucking has.
Yeah.
I always get drawn to anyone that's got the humor. Super excited for the Deadpool 3 with.
Oh yeah.
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. That's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I would consider myself more of a DC fan, but
right, it was always dark.
You know, when it comes to stuff like that with Marvel, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally for that. I love that.
I saw Guardians of the Galaxy the other night, the new one. That was really good.
I like the first and second one. I loved them. So, yeah, I'll have to see the third one when it comes out. So
It honestly, if they had only a couple more like fight scenes, it would have been rated R.
really,
Language and the violence, I was like, I did not expect Disney and Marvel to put this out. It's pretty fucking brutal. They drop like
I'm not surprised with that.
Like they drop F bombs in it.
Really?
It's PG-13, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Chris Pratt says like, "Fuck," like, and I'm like, "What?"
It's like I thought these were family friendly.
Mm-hmm. But it's very sad, very very depressing. But good. I mean, it was 3 hours, and it didn't even feel like it went by so quick. But I thought it was good. It's a good because it's the last of the trilogy they did, so it rounds it out pretty well.
Well, I'll definitely be seeing it. So
yeah, it's Rocket Raccoon's story mostly, which is what everyone knew it was going to be. But he's my favorite character of that too. Again,
because
and Bradley Cooper does his voice, and I'm a big Bradley Cooper fan.
Yeah,
I've always been a big Bradley Cooper fan.
Okay, since we've now gotten to movies, what are your favorite movies? Wait, we were already talking about movies. What am I talking about?
We already talked.
Anyways, okay, your favorite horror movies of all time. That's what I mean.
Of all time? Well, I kind of answered that. It would in the modern horror question that you said. So, The Shining is my ultimate number one horror, that I would say. You know, and then stemming from there, you got the original Halloween, the original Elm Street, not part 2. So part 1 and then part 3, Dream Warriors. To me, Dream Warriors is probably the best Freddy movie that they made.
Mm-hmm.
Part 1 is epic. Part 1 is great. But part 3 was when they started tapping into that humor more. And the kills were fucking great. And it was just the roundabout, just the best Freddy movie they ever did was part 3. But yeah, The Shining is probably my number one. Original Chainsaw Massacre, original Halloween. You know,
basically the OG good stuff.
Yeah, the classic stuff, the usual.
Yeah.
John Carpenter's The Thing. Huge influence, especially here at Nightmare Cleveland. We do tons of influence from that as far as the body creatures and the spider stuff, and the practical effects in that movie are fucking awesome. You still go watch that movie and it holds up. Like those special effects look better than something that came out 5 years ago.
Yeah, I can agree. I feel like in a lot of cases the older way is better than what they do now, because like CGI, you can tell it's like fake as hell.
Yeah. Well, the reason a lot of that happens too is now movie companies, the budgets aren't as big, and you got to cut corners, and they're like, well, we don't need to spend half the budget on practical effects. We'll just CGI it for half the price, and then we'll just get a bigger star in the movie and put the budget towards that, and not care what the fucking quality of the movie is because some kid in his computer in the basement is making the monster. A lot of those old school movies just have a lot of soul because they fucking made all that happen, and they had to like think about, okay, how do we place this camera to make this fucking stupid rubber prop look good? And they would make it work and make it fucking awesome. And they would spend the time to get it right, and that's why it looks good almost 50 years later.
I mean, I will say, like American Werewolf in London, the werewolf in that, and like the transformation they did, I thought that was pretty fucking sick.
Yep. Still always have that conversation where it's my favorite werewolf transformation is the first American Werewolf in London. That whole transition looks great. I think Rick Baker did those effects. I think it was Rick Baker. If I misquoted, I'm an idiot. I should be like on top of my horror shit. But I believe that was Rick Baker. But yeah, epic transformation. And
yeah, that might be one of my favorites,
like,
actually.
It looks painful. I remember seeing that as a kid, being like, fuck.
Yeah.
I remember being my favorite part. I would like rewind it, like watch it again, rewind it, watch it again. because that movie is kind of cheesy for the most part and boring and slow and fucking slow. I'll say it again, slow. But those certain scenes are a big payoff.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I mean, there are certain scenes that I think are pretty freaking awesome. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I remember seeing that stuff when I was a kid too, but I don't remember it ever really freaking me out. I think I was just intrigued, I guess.
Yeah.
Lastly, I guess you can just tell us what can we be expecting from you for the rest of this year. I guess that it's mostly going to be preparing for the haunt season.
Yeah, it's just going to be finishing this shit up with Nightmare Cleveland. Where our deadline we're shooting for is July. I know that won't happen, but we're shooting for it. I know that I'll be here painting something or stapling something the night before we open. But we're getting close. So this is going to be wrapping this together, finishing commercial, doing all that crap, preparing for that. Mushroomhead's doing a fall tour. I don't think I'm going to be able to do, any of that because of this. And then when we open, it's like I can't leave when.
Yeah, y'all opening September 14th.
September 16th. Yeah. So I gotta find someone I can trust to just run it. No, it just doesn't work that way. I think I'm gonna do the incarceration at the Mansfield because it's badass and it's local. So like local shows I can do for sure. But yeah, I mean it's kind of it. It's just the haunted house right now. And then once we finish this season, we're gonna be investing in a bunch of the laser tag equipment, like I was talking about earlier from what we were doing at the other haunted house. So we're going to start having this place as an all year round laser tag type thing as well, where once a month we'll do, an event where it's, come through and shoot monsters, basically cosplay a video game, basically. And you get scoring, you get all this, shit, like the guns and the technology.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, the technology they have now with like the gun systems, pretty cool to where you don't have to wear the vest and like all that, big bulky shit. Like you just get like this cool looking gun that looks like something from a sci-fi movie. The gun takes a scoring. It'll be able to know if like a monster got too close and you got a hit. Like you'll get the scoring, you'll get leaderboards. It's like a whole thing. So that's the next step, is to have that so we don't have to just open during the fall, because it's cool and you can make a good amount of money just opening in the fall, but then your doors are closed for 9 months. Like you got to find ways to make some money there. So laser tags is our future for that. But then we do a Christmas event. We'll do a Christmas show. Next year, I'm going to start doing a Valentine's Day show, because a lot of people are looking for things to do on Valentine's Day. And the haunts that do open on Valentine's Day do generally well, as long as they market it right and they don't suck. They do well. So there's other holidays. Some people do St. Patrick's Day, but I think that's fucking stupid. Because then they have like leprechauns and it's like just looks dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are trying to. There's a couple haunts that are like trying too hard now. They're gonna do like, we're gonna do every season. Like, no.
Yeah, every holiday.
Everyone can do My Bloody Valentine because it works. You can do a horror Christmas because of Krampus and all that shit, or Krampus. Sorry, right pronunciation. But yeah, some holidays you just don't do it. You can do President's Day fucking haunt, like Martin Luther King Day haunt.
I mean, you could.
Someone will eventually try. But,
yeah.
You can do like a summer slaughter thing, but you can, there's certain off-season events I'll be doing, but mostly it's going to be focusing on the laser tag. And then after this year, 2024, the goal is with the owner Vaughn to find another property and do the third location. So we have Slaughterhouse, Nightmare, and then location 3. So that's the goal from here. So we've been slowly building a team of talented people and bringing in all these people that I've known for years. and bringing them all, on this side to like, hey, we're doing this, get everyone together, and let's make the best shit ever for this area. Much like you want to have the best band, the best product, I treat this haunt thing like it is like I have a band. This is my band.
I think you got a pretty solid plan. I mean, I think that all sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I know it took a little while to get to this point, but I'm glad that we finally did this because I've really been looking forward to it.
Right on. Yes, it sucks that it was all jacked up before, but it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, we got it done. We did it. So that's all that matters. So thank you.
Right on.